housekeeping before we jump right into it. Today, we're actually going to have a very special, I guess, episode of the Tech Entrepreneur Office Hours. Uh, we definitely got your questions, and we're definitely going to spend a bit more time answering them next week. But for this week, I specifically want to focus on the Lean Canvas. Last week, we spoke a little bit about the Lean Canvas and how you could use the Lean Canvas to pretty much create a business plan around your product or service. It's a tool that we use internally to help our founders validate their business idea and serve as a starting point for the first portion or version of their application. So, yeah, I think that it's incredibly important for us to actually share the processes that we use to build great applications that people love to use. The business model, the Lean Canvas is different from the business model canvas in the sense that the business model canvas is really for more established businesses that want to create a new product or service, or that want to tweak their product or service to fit an emerging market or a new market. But for the Lean Canvas is generally for startups that don't necessarily know. There's like a lot of unknowns out there about the product or service, or exactly what their marketing channel should be, what their revenue channels will be, all that stuff. That's definitely for the Lean Canvas. So that's why we will focus on that today. And I'm definitely sure that it's going to bring up a lot of other questions for next week. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set up a Lean Canvas, and I'm going to go through each section, and I'm going to explain how to fill it out and how you can use it to test out new business ideas and do more cool stuff. And I'm going to share my screen. Well, first I'm going to check to see if all the live streams are up, and it looks like they are up, which is great. Let's actually dig into the Lean Canvas versus the business model canvas. Essentially, both of these are tools. A visual would help right now. So I'm going to show you guys a visual of the Lean Canvas. And I'm going to show you a picture of the Lean Canvas as soon as I can find it. Yes, here we go. All right, great. So essentially, when the business model canvas was created, it had portions like the key partners, the customer relationships, the key activities, and the key resources. And those don't necessarily make sense for a startup because a startup doesn't have any of these things figured out. Actually, the purpose of the startup is to figure out how you can have these things. So instead, the Lean Canvas kind of just completely removes these sections, and it adds the unfair advantage, the problem, the solution, and the key metrics. The key metrics, because again, there's no key partnerships and there are no key known activities that the business is currently doing because it is a new business. Great. Now let's go into the Lean Canvas. Let me expand this and let me share Miro. There we go. Okay, so Miro is a really, really awesome tool that you should probably download. Well, not download, but you should probably use. It allows you to create a plethora of different real-time boards Actually, the original name of the company was Real Time Board, where essentially if I invited one of our team members over, they could be on this board and we could kind of whiteboard. Super excellent, especially for work at home opportunity. Well, work at home workflows where everybody can't get in front of a workboard, well, a whiteboard and do what they have to do. So definitely check it out. All right, so with the lean canvas, the weirdest part of this is that you don't really fill it out like from top to bottom or left to right or anything like that. You kind of have to like jump around. Um, and as we're jumping around, I'm actually just gonna put some numbers in here so that you know like what you have to do first and why. So the first thing that you have to do is, and again, the lean canvas allows you to create a quick business plan. Yes, you definitely should create a real business plan after you use the lean canvas to validate what your business model will look like. But this allows you to save the time and energy that it would take to write an entire business plan and it write and validate your entire business plan. So instead of creating like a 40-page business plan and then figuring out that, oh my gosh, our revenue streams don't make sense, you have to go back and you have to modify the entire business plan. Instead, you could use this as a launch board to test and tweak business plans until you've come to the point where you're very comfortable with what you have. All right, so now let's jump into customer segments. So with any new product or service, you definitely want to spend the time looking at who your customer is. I would even say that you want to spend the most time with your customers because the person that understands their customer the most is the person that has the biggest opportunity to create a product and service that they love. So in this first box, you would take the time to identify the customer segments that you want to use. For when we use this, we generally have one customer segment per lean canvas. So the same product, one product can have multiple lean canvases associated with it. And when writing a full-on business plan, you could actually, it actually helps you organize your ideas, thoughts, and features in a way that makes sense. So stick to one customer segment per lean for lean canvas. So the customer segment, it pretty much identifies who's your customer, who are they, what do they do, and how do you essentially how can you essentially identify them from the plethora of other customer profiles that are out there. You want to be really specific about your customer. You can do a persona in in the initial phase of starting your business, and it does help for you to go through that process. But after you create the persona, you could definitely like leave a little note here saying our customer segment is Jill, and Jill would reference that persona. Once you identify who your customer segment is, you want to jump all the way over here to your problem. Well, not your problem, your customer's problem. Let's make this a little bigger and a little bolder. Also, side note, I did not create the lean canvas. The person who did create the lean canvas is Ash Moria. So I am not taking any credit of this, but it is something that we definitely use at Vermilion Sky to, again, build products and services that people love to use. So now that you have identified your customer segment, you have to spend time identifying your customer's problem. Generally speaking, we want to keep it up to 3 of the most pressing, most painful problems for the customer. So when you list the top 3, you'd pretty much understand like why the customer is having this problem. But even before this, you have to also understand that you're most likely probably making estimates when it comes to figuring out their problems, because until you've done like extensive customer research, which actually happens after you create your lean canvas, you're probably gonna have like a very top level understanding of what your customer's problem is. But even so, you list out what their problems are. Then you would spend the time to figure out what the solution to their problems are. Now, the solution can be your solution, or it could be also the current solutions that are out there, or the pretty much layman's version of the answer to their problems. Just the same way that you put the top 3 problems for the customer segment, you'd also put the top 3 solutions that currently exist. And again, when you are looking at solutions, definitely put in your competitors, definitely put in the features that your competitors are using to figure out that they're using to figure out what the solutions that exist currently in the market. Let me actually this. All right, so now you have your problem. Well, you have your problem, you have solutions to your problems, and now you want to spend some time determining what your unique value proposition is. So your product or services unique value proposition is specifically how your product addresses the problems and how they are different from the current solutions that are out in the market. Like I said, filling this out is sometimes a little tricky, but once you know the order, you pretty much get it. Let's actually take a quick break here and see, because last time there were people in the waiting room and I don't want that to happen again. All right, let's clear this out. Excellent. So quick note here again, a lot of people will do the unique value proposition. No, let me just run this. They'll do the unique value proposition third, and then they'll do the solution third, but you could actually do it both ways. The main thing is you want to be able to say, you want to be able to understand the solutions, and you want to be able to understand how your proposed solution is unique to the current existing solutions. All right, so now the next item is the existing alternatives, which is also very similar to the current solutions as well. This usually is not here, but this is a new addition. I like this version of it. The reason why I like this version of it is because you can kind of have those things in the back of your mind as you're developing your solution. All right, and that is 5. So, we made a mistake here. With customer segments and early adopters, I actually make this a 1 thing. So we're actually gonna ignore early adopters, but with customer segments, you definitely want your customer segment to, especially in the beginning, you want your customer segment to be your early adopters. Because those are the people who are going to be your first 100 users, and those are the people that are going to give you your first round of feedback. And your company and your product is going to look very different between 1 and 100 users, where between 1 and 100 users than it is between 100 and 1,000 users. Okay, so after existing alternatives, again, unique value proposition and high level concept, that's also pretty much the same thing. But the biggest thing here is you want to jump to revenue streams. Now, when creating revenue streams, look, it knows. When creating revenue streams, you definitely want to determine whether or not you're going to be a subscription model, or if it's going to be paying on the delivery of a product or a service, or if you're going to do licensing fees. This is where pretty much you take the time to determine like, hey, this is how we're going to work with our customers. This is, this is where you determine, okay, we're gonna have some type of payment plan where they pay us on a monthly basis, and your revenue stream pretty much determines how your customer gives you value. After you determine your revenue stream, you can then take the time to deal with your cost structure. Now, with cost structure specifically refers to your costs. So if it's a software development product, then you have the cost of labor. If it is a physical product, you have the cost of shipping and the manufacturing of the actual item. From there, you move on to channels, which determine how you're going to sell. How are you going to sell this to people? Generally speaking, again, since you're starting off, I'd stick to 1 or 2 channels. So a channel could be, we're going to be doing specific LinkedIn outreach. So we're going to reach out to specific people on LinkedIn, and we're going to ask them to buy our product and service. Or it could be Facebook ads. We're going to spend the time doing Facebook ads, and that's essentially the channel that's going to reach out to the customer. You want to ensure that your channel directly relates to your customer segment and the early adopters. So you definitely have to spend the time doing what you definitely have to spend the time researching and figuring out what the best channels are for your customer segment. And from there, you then, oh, that's weird. Oh, that's perfect. And I could just do this. Darn it. Okay. From there, you want to determine what your key metrics are. And your key metrics are what, essentially your key metrics are the things that you have to track to make sure that your business is on the right track. So these key metrics directly, they directly relate to your revenue streams and your channels. So if your key metric, one of your key metrics can be revenue, and I believe that one of your key metrics should be revenue, but that also depends on how you're bringing in revenue. So if you're doing a freemium model, then it might not be revenue per se. It could be the amount of users who download your app, the amount of users who then turned into a paid user, and your retention rates. So those key metrics are stuff that you keep. Essentially, we tell our founders to build a dashboard and review your key metrics on a daily basis. And as you're reviewing your key metrics, you're able to see whether or not your business is functioning the way that it's supposed to. And once you determine what your key metrics are, you get to your unfair advantage. Now, in the beginning, you might not have an unfair advantage. You might actually just be like, oh, well, our product and service is pretty copyable, but it's new and unique, and maybe new and unique might be the unfair advantage. But an unfair advantage could be specific domain knowledge of the business. So for instance, if you are a PhD in physics and everybody in the space does not have a PhD in physics, and you're now bringing a product to market, that can be an unfair advantage because it's very difficult to copy that. If you have a unique story or a unique brand, that can also be an unfair advantage. But don't spend too much time figuring out what your unfair advantage is. What you'll find is that through doing a lot of customer research and a lot of customer development interviews, you'll actually see that you could develop an unfair advantage by being so close to your customer and being extremely, extremely customer focused and extremely close to your customer. That can be an unfair advantage because your competitors might not have the ability to do that. Now that we've spoken about the lean canvas, we can actually take the time to, let's see, oops, not chat. We could take the time to create a fake business, go through the process of brainstorming what this business is, and create a high level plan. Oh, one of the great things about the lean canvas is you should definitely. So this is generally bigger, and honestly, because we're on a computer, we can make this as big as we'd like. Yeah. Anyway, we'll zoom in. And when you're filling out the lean canvas, you definitely want to use sticky notes, because sticky notes allow you to just kind of think about something, put it on the board, and as you're going through the different parts of the lean canvas, you'll be able to say, okay, well, this just doesn't make sense. We're not going to focus on this because it's not feasible. Or let's say if later down the line you get all the way up to your revenue stream and you're realizing that maybe this customer segment does not like to pay this way, you might then say, let's scrap this customer segment and add a customer segment that does like to pay this way. But then you'd have to go and fix everything else about this. But let's start with an organic ice cream truck business. So let's say if I want to create an organic ice cream truck business, and I think that this is a great business idea. So let's call it organic ice cream truck. Very unique name. So let's go to our customer segments. I'm thinking that my customer segment is going to be the mother who is very health conscious. So she's probably somebody that works out, she has kids, and she wants to ensure that she's giving her kids the best stuff. She probably hates the idea that when the ice cream truck comes along, it is probably the worst stuff that you can give to your kids. And because of that, she's not really going to get her kids ice cream, even though her kids are screaming at her saying, "Mommy, mommy, I want ice cream." So an organic ice cream truck would definitely help her. So let's say, so during this portion, what we would do is we would create a customer persona, and let's call her Jenna. Jenna is our customer segment. Let's make this smaller. Actually, we'll add some identifying features. Boom. She's a mother who takes her kids to the park. Let's make you wider. She's a mother who takes her kids to the park, who is health conscious. Boom, that's the customer segment. Now, what are Jenna's problems? She wants to create a healthy environment. Well, her biggest problem is the current ice cream providers sell low quality ice cream. Another problem could be she wants to give ice cream to her kids, but feels guilty giving them bad stuff. And another problem could be when she does give her kids bad ice cream, they get stomach aches. All right, 3 major problems for Jenna And here's some of the possible solutions that she could do. One solution could be she doesn't give her kids ice cream at all. And that would address the problem of giving her kids a bad stomach ache. Jenna never buys ice cream ever again. Another solution could be that the current ice cream providers sell low quality ice cream. Jenna gives her kids ice cream before going to the park. And another solution could just be that Jenna gets over her guilt and actually, sorry, Jenna just continues to buy the bad ice cream and gets over her guilt. Now remember, solutions don't necessarily have to be in the same wheelhouse as your product or service. It could literally be whatever the customer has done to solve their problems. Sorry, let me just do this because I don't want there to be any confusion over here. We'll just take up both of these boxes. Now, unique value proposition for my product, my organic ice cream truck. One, it is mobile. Oh, that's huge. It's mobile and it allows Jenna, mobile meaning Jenna can buy ice cream on the go at the park. It's healthy. Organic ice cream, healthy. Ice cream without the guilt. And let's go back to some of the problems. Low quality ice cream. Healthy does address the issue of the kids getting stomach aches. Oh, it makes Jenna feel good that she's giving her children a high quality product. Boom. See, now she's happy. That's a unique value proposition. This is something that isn't on the market right now. It's not one of the solutions that you've given us. Well, that she's, it's not one of the solutions that appear here. And it's unique. So existing alternatives, we could just rehash what we have as solutions. Existing alternatives could also be your competitors, which is the bad ice cream trucks. Existing alternatives are small organic ice cream containers. Oh, we're having a small technical difficulty. Let's make sure that we're plugged in. Okay, I'm back. So essentially the small organic ice cream containers are the $5 ice creams that you could, ice cream boxes that you could get at the supermarket or store. And we'll just leave it to 2. All right, now revenue streams. Let's make it a bit interesting here. We can make it so that it's a subscription model. Every time subscription model, Jenna subscribes to the ice cream truck. She never has to pay, but just walks up to the truck and collects ice cream as long as she has an active subscription. Boom. Now, as we understand in the ice cream truck world, there's no such thing as a subscription model, and you could even use this could actually be the unfair advantage and unique value and a unique value proposition as well. But it's something that you could that once you take the time to do a bit more customer research and validation, you could test this idea with your customer before actually implementing it or writing the what's that called? Business plan. All right, now that we've talked about our revenue stream, let's jump right into our cost structure. So what are the top 3 costs? Cost of the truck, because you have to get from A to B. You also now have the architecture costs, the technology architecture costs that supports the subscription model. And you also have labor, which could be your labor or somebody that you hire to actually drive the organic ice cream truck. Now, okay. Now, how are you going to get to Jenna? Now, because we are a mobile truck, we have the opportunity to drive around the park. Another channel could be branded posts from fitness influencers on Instagram. Because Jenna's health conscious, she follows a whole bunch of fitness people on Instagram. Therefore, if she sees that our organic ice cream truck has a review or an endorsement by one of these fitness influencers, she's gonna seek out this business. All right, now that we have our channel set up, let's go to our key metrics. Number of active subscriptions, and churn. Churn means the percentage of people who leave your subscription after a certain period of time. Actually, let's fill this in. Organic ice cream truck. Now, the last thing is the unfair advantage. Now, we don't necessarily know whether or not by having a subscription model style ice cream truck would actually be an unfair advantage. But what we do know is that one of the other problems that we actually didn't talk about is that Jenna doesn't always carry cash with her. And because she doesn't always carry cash with her, when the ice cream truck when she hears the ice cream truck and her kids get excited and they're like, Mommy, Mommy, I want ice cream. When that happens, if she doesn't have cash, guess what? Kids will get ice cream. And the current ice cream truck providers are not willing to jump onto the digital payments model. Therefore, because of their unwillingness to do that, the unfair advantage could be that we take card payments and nobody else does. And it could be as simple as that. Now, we have a filled lean canvas, and we do have the ability to now test this lean canvas. How would we, come on, there we go. How do we test the lean canvas? We would find a whole bunch of Jennas. We would first find them through either the channels that we've set up or even creating ads for a fake product that is promoted by influencers. You can do this by creating a landing page that just pretty much describes what the product and service is, and it has a email box and a sign up box, well, a sign up button. By providing their email, their name, and their sign up button, one, you get access to their email, which means that you could do email marketing. But two, now that you have access to their email, you can literally set up a customer interview. You could set up a customer interview. The other thing is, if you drive around the park, you could definitely go to the park where she is with her kids and interact with her and ask her, hey, would you ever, how do you feel about organic ice cream? How do you feel about these problems that we've identified? How do you feel about your current solutions that are on the market? Then, then you would also take the time to talk about the existing alternatives. And throughout this conversation, a lot of other things will appear. So problems that you didn't even know that Jenna was having will appear. When that happens, you have to figure out and determine whether or not these new problems are a bigger source of pain for Jenna than your current problems. If they are, then you got to throw one of these guys away and spend the time validating this new problem and coming up with the solutions and the existing alternatives to that new problem. Once you're finished with your customer interviews, what you'll find is that you were either totally wrong and you have to do this all over again, or you were somewhere along the right path, but there are things that are different. We actually use this lean canvas to then create features and to tweak the design and the functionality of the original idea towards being extremely customer-centric. Once we're able to do that, that's when the magic happens. That's when people are just like, oh my gosh, I'm having these exact problems, and I'm so glad that your product and service exists. Here is a subscription to your organic ice cream truck, because now all I have to do is just walk up to you, get my ice cream, and call it a day. Now we can find out that Jenna hates the idea of a subscription model, and all that she wants to do is be able to take card payments. Then now you change the revenue stream to, I'll actually just move this over here. You could change the revenue stream to ice cream sales. You could change the revenue stream, and everything else pretty much stays this, no, sorry, the key metrics don't change. It's a number of active subscriptions, number of sales, churn goes away. And then your margin, your profit margin becomes one of the key metrics. So as you're playing around with your product idea, you're able to kind of create scenarios, albeit in your head, but you're able to create these scenarios of a business, then validate the business, ensure that the business is doing exactly what it is that you want it to do, and then go to creating a business plan, creating a product or service, getting the truck, hiring the people, now that you know that this is actually validated and people want this. The other thing that you could do is, while you're in this process, you could ask people, hey, if we go back to the subscription model, would you like to sign up for a subscription now? We'll give you a deeply discounted subscription, like a lifetime worth of ice cream. If you give me $1,000 right now, we'll put you on the wait list as one of the people. So similar to like a Kickstarter thing where you pre-sell the product or pre-sell something that's analogous to the product. That's when you can, when people start giving you money for something that doesn't exist, that's when you know that you're really onto something. The thing that I love about the Lean Canvas is that you could use this for products, services. You could pretty much use it for anything. Even if we wanted to say, you know, let's use this for a nonprofit, you could. Revenue streams would be different. Revenue streams would be based on donations, but you could pretty much get a full bird's eye view of the potential nonprofit by filling this out. Now, again, it doesn't tell you everything that you need to know, and it does omit some details that are incredibly important to building a business, but it allows you to test. And that's one thing that we all should do a bit more. We should test our business models, and we should ensure that people actually want to use the products that we're talking about. And that is pretty much it. If you have any questions about the business model canvas or your specific business model, or even if you want to go through this process with me in relation to your business, feel free to reach out. Next week, we are going back to our original business. We're going back to the original Tech Entrepreneur Office Hours, where we answer your tech-related questions. But this is a special episode mainly for someone who really wanted me to do a deep dive into the canvas. So thank you guys for your time. Thank you for watching us, and I will see you next Friday. Take care.